On the Winning Together podcast today, we have a wonderful guest, Susan Peterson, the founder of the Sobriety Foundation, avid listener, wonderful person, and just good friend. Thank you for being here. Your foundation has been very supportive of some of our clients and many people throughout Utah for years now, and helping them get financial need to stay sober and to have a place to live in that critical time in early recovery. Thank you for being here. We look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Winning Together podcast, sponsored by I'm Recovery. This is Shay. I bring it Aslet, and today, super excited to host, quite simply put, Susan, the rockstar Peterson. She knows Jared, the counselor, Casey, and we have a great discussion today about turning your pain into purpose, about using your resources to give and help others grow and do. And Jared, let's get into it. We want to talk about the foundation. We want to talk about resources. We want to talk about living sober, not just getting to a certain point. Jared, what are some trends you're seeing in recovery right now?
First of all, I just want to express my excitement and gratitude too for you coming, Susan. It's a great honor to have you on our show.
It is all my pleasure.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
And just to set that up a little bit, because I would want to dig into it, but I want to give a little bit of attention to Susan right up front. I first met Susan at a gala last fall, and I immediately loved her passion. Her passion for helping people.
It's immediately evident.
It's evident.
Mm-hmm.
It's just evident, and it glows. You glow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so
thank you so much.
Grateful and impressed to meet you and see you and be part of that gala. It inspired me and really helped me grow a lot. Fast forward, I've spent some more time with you, and the last time I spent time with you, I gave you a little bit of a progress report on one of our clients that you helped bring to our program here in Lehigh, Utah, that your foundation sponsored and gave that client an opportunity. And I just loved how you lit up. Really? Tell me, I want to hear it. I don't get to see that side. I only get to see the front end of this thing. And I was just so happy to see how genuine and raw you were. Just like, yes, we saved another starfish. You know, if you want to go to that analogy, like we pulled one out and we're going to give them an opportunity. So grateful. So just thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your life.
If there's anyone who, instantly you can see embodies winning together, it would be you. Definitely.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I just feel like it was a fit from the start. Sobriety Foundation has given me a lot back. It has helped me in so many ways. And we'll discuss some of those, I'm sure, in this podcast, but it has been so fulfilling for me and my family. And for our board, we have an amazing board. It's a working board, and so we none of them get paid. They sure do a lot of work. They sure give to our Sobriety Foundation.
So wonderful.
So Jared, let's set that up. Tell us about the Sobriety Foundation, what its role is, what its function, how it is saving people.
Yeah. So from my view, I work in
the clinician.
Mm-hmm. And we have a couple sober homes that support clients. And when clients come into our program, they're generally coming out of detox or inpatient, where they've spent some time. You know, and they're not quite ready to go home yet. They still need to develop some life skills, which I'd love to get into today. But a lot of them don't have any resources. They burn bridges, they burn their pocketbooks. They need a little support. And the first thing you need to take care of is shelter. So do you have somewhere to live? And then, of course, food and other supplies, and then treatment. So that's what we can provide here, the outpatients treatment. Well, we've had an opportunity to partner with you guys, and we've had some clients that we just really, really want to work with, but we didn't have the means to scholarship them on our own end, but they were able to work through you, and then we can partner together, get them on their feet, get them working, get them back going in the right direction, and really move forward in their life. So that's where the foundation's been so powerful for us is, we can give more opportunities to more people who are ready. And something I really, really want to highlight and love about your foundation is you guys do your best to find people who are ready. And I don't feel like we can help people if they're not ready, or if they're not willing to be ready.
That really resonates with you, isn't it? I mean, you've developed a gift and talent too of like seeing people and looking for signs like, okay, it's go time.
Yeah, we want to support people when they're ready, and we could probably have a full 3 hours on that alone.
Sure.
But I just noticed that you guys are so careful, and you want to make sure that that money that you do put into people's scholarships is well used for the right mentality. I'm sure some people slip through the cracks and maybe don't get it quite right, but
Sure.
in my experience, when they get through you guys and get to us, I already know I'm getting someone who's motivated.
Right.
Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so our application process is that we have the applicant that is looking for a sober living home go on sobrietyfoundation.org, and they go on there and they fill out an application, and it's a pretty long application. We ask a lot of questions so that we can get to know them really well. And Jerry, when you say that, we really do look into their past. We really do look into what they want to become. We look into the person themselves. As soon as we look at their application, within our advocate, she interviews them personally and asks them a lot of questions. And so since we only have the funds to fill about 23% of our applications that we get in, we really want to make sure that the person that we're sending to sober living homes, that we're scholarshiping, are ready to make the change in their lives. So that's kind of the application process. We stay in contact with them about a year after that. And our scholarship recipients have done amazing. In fact, we hardly ever have any of them fall back into addiction in that year that we stay in contact with them. Very, very rare that they fall back into addiction after that first year. And a lot of times they stay in the sober living home. We scholarship them for 2 months, so we'll give them the funds for 2 months in the sober living home, and then hopefully they have found a job by then, where probably 85% have found a job, and they can stay in either the sober living home that they are in, or they can find another sober living environment that they can afford and live there. And so that is so phenomenal in my eyes, that they can get on their feet, they can get a job. And most of the time, when they do well at the sober living home that they have been in, if they can't stay there, they pick people that they have been in the sober living home with. They've created sober living friends, yeah, the community, and so they can go out and be with them, and they can, live in a home where everybody's doing the same thing, everybody's working on the same thing.
And for those that aren't really aware, when someone comes out of inpatient care, or let's just say detox, they've been through a lot, and they don't do transition. They just go straight back. Their environment's very much the same.
Right.
And what we found in change research is that you need to change multiple factors to have a higher success of sustaining a change. That first year is really, really hard.
Yes, it is.
So the more you can change and give someone an opportunity to say, all right, we're gonna put you in sober living, we're gonna give you new friends, we're gonna help you get a new job, and everybody around you is going to be in a recovery mindset. So everyone you talk to, left, right, front, back, they're all in a recovery mindset. That person's success rates go exponentially up. And
yes,
it sounds like you're seeing that on your end as well.
We have really done a lot of research on that. And like you said, if they can stay sober for a year, live in a sober living environment, their chances of staying sober goes way up for the rest of their life. When we can only, what is really kind of sad in the state of Utah, we only help people, Utahns. And that's if people come out of state and go to a sober living or a detox place. We actually, if they're affiliated with Utah, we can take them. It's not just, because we have a lot of people that come from out of state, and a lot of people that do come out of state do a lot better coming to Utah, because then they're out of their environment where they were using. And so
Interesting. You want to get out of, you want to change, you got to change.
Yeah, you do. Utah doesn't, the insurance doesn't pay for sober living, which is so not good, and because I really feel like that's what the missing link. Anyway, it was for my son. He said I can get sober, Mom. I just don't know how to live sober. I need to connect with friends, and I need to know how to get on the sober pathway, or I just need to know how to do it. And I think that's one of the hardest parts, is living sober. I think everybody has I don't know about you, Jared, but and the people that you come out of IAM, and I just wanted to give IAM a little plug too. If they have empty beds and we are scholarshiping someone in their sober living home, Jared has been so kind and so generous and gracious to give us a free bed. And so I feel so honored that we're even involved with IAM Recovery. I think they're doing an awesome job.
Because who better represents and embodies Winning Together than Jared as well, right? I mean,
totally
no wonder you guys attract your resources together, is because you both are committed to winning together, and it's one of your core values is teaching or offering someone the opportunity to live in a different way without using or without being addicted. And Jared, that's one of your core values too. It's not about just not doing something; it's about doing something and becoming somebody different.
Absolutely, and just kind of go back to that theme of living differently. Something that kind of hit me this past week, we had an arena talk where we had families come in, and that's something we really like to do, is we bring the families in and we'll talk about some of the stuff that's going on.
And real quick, by the way, it's for the families. It's not about they're connected to us because they know somebody in the in the process. But I love how you make it, and we make it about them. It's about you becoming an awesome person, not about you changing that other person or reacting to it. No, it's how do you do awesome for you.
That was kind of this revolutionary moment we had this last week, where we had a mother come and she was so down on hope. Mm-hmm. So down on hope, which is a common theme. And it's
I felt that before. Yeah.
And we actually we started talking about hope as a tool for recovery, and she challenged us, and she's like, "Don't tell me about hope. Don't give me hope right now. Mm-hmm. I don't want your hope." And it really brought out this remembrance of why we're working with these people, and how we see them differently. I don't see people's past very often. We'll do a little bit of intake, we'll understand it, but we're seeing the future they're creating.
Sure. And
we put so much energy into what they're going to create with their life today and what they're going to create with their future. And their families, they don't have that luxury.
Right.
There's so much history, there's so much damage, and part of our blessed gift is we don't have to live through all that damage.
Right.
But we get to see the possibility of a hopeful present and a hopeful future, and bridge those gaps. And it takes some time to create that.
It does, but there is a future. A lot of people say, oh, well, they'll just go back to using again. And I totally don't feel that way. I feel people can get clean and stay clean. They just need the opportunity. They just need to be given that opportunity, and I totally feel like that they can get back to living a healthy, sober life.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, let me ask you a question. So often the scenario is, the genesis is my beautiful boy ended up choosing to use drugs, and he ended up killing himself with it.
Sure.
So yes, that happened, but also a wonderful mom lost a son. So the recovery, you still have to recover too. It's not just about somebody getting off substances and living. You lost a son in that transaction as well. So you learning how to live and breathe and find hope when there wasn't any. No wonder that's why you believe it, because you had to go on living.
Oh yes, and I really feel like that I was led to this foundation through him. Mm. I really felt like that, Mom, I didn't make it. I couldn't overcome this. but I want you to help other people to do that. And it's been so healing for me to see other people heal and to get back on their feet. And so it's kind of selfish in a way because it has also helped with my healing process of getting over losing my son, which I don't think you ever get over, losing your son.
You're not supposed to. It's not supposed to be that way.
No.
You don't get over it.
No,
You
never
become
do.
somebody different. Yeah.
You go on learning to live without him.
And connect with them in a different way because you're still
Exactly.
connected.
Oh, yes. I feel him constantly. I mean, and I think most parents do. So, yeah, and he has been here, and he has been kind of the rock for this foundation in my eyes, and for my family too, because my daughters, they lost a brother to addiction, and my husband lost a son, and my parents and my husband's parents lost their grandson, and so we're all kind of in it together.
Oh, there's no kind of about it.
Yeah, there's no kind of about it. We have been, and it is what it is, but it's been a beautiful life. I mean, we've gone on and I've seen so much beauty come out of losing a son, and I hate to say that, but it really has. I mean, we've gotten a lot closer in a lot of ways. Our family have learned to heal together and gone to therapy and learned that it is a family disease, and maybe how we can maybe go on from here.
So that's a question I do have for you. So, what is there some family history? Did you have some kind of awareness, or when your son was saying, "Hey, I cannot stop using these substances to manage my emotions," you're like, "Oh, okay, I get it. I see you." So, I come from a long line of alcoholics. Like when I see somebody who's an alcoholic, like, "Oh, I get you."
Yeah.
Was it something you had to learn? Was it a totally different concept for you, or?
It's interesting that you say that because I have 9 brothers and sisters. I'm the only one that's not married in the temple. We come from a very religious LDS family, and I didn't think we had a lot of addiction in our family. And then when we went to family therapy, we sat down with my husband and my daughters, and our therapist wrote on the board my side and my husband's side, and wow, we had a lot of addiction in our family. So yes, we did. Looking back on it now, we had a lot of addiction in our family, a lot of depression, anxiety. So I almost feel like, and Jared, I'm sure that you've found this out, it's almost like a dual or a triple diagnosis.
Absolutely.
Along with addiction. They get depressed and so they start doing something, that will help them so that they're not so depressed. But yes, there was a long history of addiction in our family.
What have you had to learn then? Like, so if you kind of understand it, but there was a casualty. So what have you learned about recovery to be able to transform or encourage people to transform their lives?
I have just seen that how recovery works. I've just seen how the whole system works and how much better it has gotten since my son has passed away 10 years ago. Utah has really come up to the plate. They've done a lot of things that I am just so thrilled with family groups now, where a place where you can go, or mom and dad can go, where I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't even know anywhere to turn. I knew that I was enabling my son, but I didn't know how to not enable him. And I know now that you can go places and you can learn how to. And
the cultural shame blocking that was
yes.
totally in the way felt like an insurmountable force.
Oh yeah, and being from Utah County, and I think a lot of people from Utah County will agree with me. Some won't. You live in a little bubble. Oh, yeah. And you don't want anybody to see anything bad that goes on in your family. We don't do that in our family anymore.
That's awesome.
We
the
talk
cost
about
is
everything.
too high. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talk about everything and we just don't hide anything. So that has been really healing for me, and also for my family to maybe not enable their children. My daughter's not to, teach them the tactics so they don't enable their children. So yeah, I think just going to therapy and learning the tricks of the trade and then implementing them in our lives. Hey, it's still a work in process. We still work on it every day of our lives.
But I see that your commitment to adaptation and Jared's commitment to adaptation is where you guys are getting some real synergies. You're seeing the changes and you're adapting and you're going and you're growing.
Yes.
Yeah, just to speak to that, in our arena talks last week, I was so proud of these families. Where they're coming in and they're talking about the tricks of the trade. They're, help me understand. What can I learn? How can I grow?
Right.
And just being willing to learn and engage and take that feedback, that's powerful. I think about, like, in my own family system growing up, what if my parents communicated like that? What if my brothers and sisters communicated like that? Like, that would have been a massive gift to the family, that now these families are being forced into learning, but they're being able to heal for the next line or the next grandchild or whoever's coming up next.
I love that. I think communication is the key. You have to keep it open. My parents hid everything. I thought that they had a storybook life, and then my husband's parents didn't hide anything. So we've kind of had to work on that together and find a happy medium. But I'll tell you one thing, and I think that's the key to a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship in any way, a friendship relationship, is communication. You just have to talk openly about it with love.
Well, and so my function here for Jared is as a coach. So I'm the guy that, like, what do you need to do or not do? And I've found if I will just include one little phrase, no judgment. Like, what do you want? That's where are you at? Like, what's happening? No judgment. When you can just take that away, it's okay, you feel that freedom. And same with a spouse or a son or a dad. Like, I love you. No judgment. You're free to be who you want to be. That will rock your relationship for sure initially, but it also creates this incredible space for it too.
Right. And I have a lot. When I do get overwhelmed with maybe not using the tools that I have learned through my life, if I say this one phrase, whether you believe in God or not, I always say, let go and let God, or let go and let a higher power take its force. Because I just really feel like that sometimes, and that just kind of makes me take a deep breath in, and when I say that, okay, so I need to let this go when I get a little bit overwhelmed, when I want to fill every application that we get in. And
Yesterday.
I want to send everybody to sober living that we possibly can, but we just don't have the funds to do so. I just think, okay, I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to turn my mind over to God, my heart over to God, let Him help me find the right fits, the people that need it the most.
Well, and Jared, speak to that a little bit. The mom from last week, when she says, don't tell me about hope, it's that allowing something bigger than who you are, or the foundation is bigger than our trauma and our loss,
right.
And it pulls you forward. I mean, that's step number one. You have to believe it's possible.
Yeah, and there's a space where people get stuck in their grief, and that can take a long time.
Oh, yes.
A long time. And those phases of grief and the bitterness and the anger
and it's essential, and you can't hustle it,
no.
And you can't skip any steps.
You can't. And everybody goes through it differently. You can't put a time frame on grief. I mean, I have friends of mine that have lost children to addiction, and at the same time I lost my son, and they're still spending every day at the cemetery, and I cannot judge them. That they're going through a process, the grieving process, totally different than I've gone through mine. So what works for me is certainly not going to work for them, which I feel like in getting sober and staying sober, one program is going to work for one person, and it's not going to work for the other.
Yeah. Something to speak to that too is, if someone gets 2, 3, 4, 5 months of really good sobriety time, and they haven't had that in many, many years, they're going to grow.
Right.
They're going to grow. And yeah, they may fall back. It's a lifelong battle. We have our lifelong battles.
Right.
So we celebrate those wins too. We celebrate, wow, you learned so much in those 4 months. Now your head's going to be full of recovery, and when you're back out struggling, you'll have some tools. You'll have something to help you come back a little sooner, get back a little bit quicker. Then to speak to the grief piece, we can process that at our speed, but we can also do let go, let God.
Right.
We can engage our higher power and work through that quicker. And we hope that people are willing to receive that when they're ready. That comes back to the when you're ready phase. And part of that no judgment is we create an opportunity for when you're ready to happen.
Right.
No judgment. When you're ready, I'm here. We're here. Parent, family, friend, counselor, we're here.
You know, and one of our amazing chairmen that we had for a lot of years on our board, he's a therapist, and he was just saying that it takes a while for the brain to heal after you've been addicted to a substance. And so
we're talking like 6, 8, 10, 12, 18 months, 2, 3 years, right?
Exactly.
So many people are so impatient. It takes time.
It does.
Months and months and months, quarters.
Right. And that's what I keep, you know, with the grieving process with me. I mean, everybody's different. With getting sober and staying sober, I think it just takes time, like you said. It takes a lot of time for that brain to heal. Some people, maybe not as much, but a lot of people, you just have to give it time. You have to stick with it.
That was such a big game changer for me. My mom invited me to read this book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life by Dr. Amen. And for me to just even open up the idea that, oh, I'm not just not a good person. My chemistry is just off.
Right.
And if I just do some vitamin D, get some sun, and get rest, like it'll start normalizing. So I think that was a huge part of my process to finding joy is, oh, your chemistry and what you do, it does matter. And it influences how you operate in your body. And that really helped with also the self-talk piece of people, you know, when you're putting yourself down all the time. Maybe you're just not getting enough sleep, or your chemistry's off, or you need to get some medications, or whatever.
Right. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that piece of it. I really feel like people need to understand that more.
Totally.
I think that it would take a lot of judgment out if people would really understand how the brain chemistry works. It was a huge thing for me to learn. Once he said that, I thought, wow, you know, because I could tell that when my son was using, was not the son that I knew, you know, but I knew it was just the substances were taking over, you know.
Looking back, do you think any of it had to do with the football?
It could have. He was a real.
I mean, he's an athlete, so I know he has to be an athlete,
avid
obviously.
football player,
Yeah.
And you couldn't set him on the bench because he had to play offense to defense because he just couldn't stand not being out there and being, you know, involved. A little bit OCD, that kind of runs in our family too. But he just needed to be out there and he needed to be doing things. And so maybe that could have had a factor with it. He was hit hard a lot of times, even though, you know, he's a big guy, so everybody was trying to take the big guy down. So that could have been a factor too.
Yeah, because that comes out in research. That's one of the things they found. I'm a soccer player, so they found the same thing with soccer, is that repeated can affect your chemistry over time and how you view being happy or having a good day or being nice or whatever.
That's where taking the judgment out of it comes, I feel, because all of us are totally different. Our whole makeup, our whole body makeup is different. Our whole brain chemistry is different. I just really feel like that's why we've got to take judgment completely out of addiction. I love that. I love what you said about judgment. That's a really powerful thing.
It's been transformative for me, for sure. My relationships around me, and I've found myself making more progress. Sometimes people think that's like, oh, well, you're not being responsible, or you're not, you know, you're satisfied and settling. No, I'm just I look at the consequences of the choices, but I'm not hustling for my value as a person anymore. It's just valuable. That's it. I want to ask you a little bit. So my family didn't talk about the drinking. And what I found is that didn't allow me to challenge that sooner and grow from knowing earlier. You know, Jared, you've seen it too, where families like, no, we don't have a problem. And then at 20 whatever, they've got a problem because they didn't talk about it or bring it up, like, or a son didn't say, or dad didn't say, I'm really struggling with depression. Let me tell you kind of what this is about or what this looks like. Or, you know, alcohol runs in our family, so this is how it manifests. And not looking at those things that, you know, they're not even problems. They're just things about who our family is and what we're experiencing and what we feel or think. It delays the opportunity to grow or acquire the skills to protect against the abuse or the, you know, depression or the pulling back from people. Or if you're an athlete, you stop being an athlete, you know, not being who you are and whatnot.
Yeah, I can see that a lot. You know, my husband was raised in a very strong LDS family, and so was I. And my dad's parents was alcoholic. I mean, they had a lot of alcoholism in their home, and so my mom saw that firsthand, and she just said, you know, it runs in the family. You know, don't drink. You know, you could very much become an alcoholic. She talked about it a lot, but my husband and I, we didn't talk about it a lot. We almost was under the impression is that we don't want our kids feeling like if people are drinking that they're bad. So we tried to go at it as a different way, is that, you know, 1 or 2 drinks, some people can handle that, but you never know if you can handle that or not. So, you know,
You don't know how you're going to break. That's the risk.
You don't.
Just don't.
And so that's how, and I've always felt a little bit of guilt that I didn't, you know, maybe drill that into my kids too, that, you know, alcoholism runs in our family, so watch out, you know.
And you were doing the best you could at the time with what you knew and where you were at.
Yes.
And I think you can look at that too as there's the genetic traits that we all have a consequence, that people came before us, they've given us some of those things, good or bad. You know, if cancer runs in your family, there's a chance. If alcoholism runs around, there's a chance. And then there's the behavioral path. They can go there, they can take us anywhere really. So just kind of being aware of, all right, here's some of my dangers, here's some things I should do and shouldn't do. There's no guarantee. Like how you said, we don't know how we're going to break or how things are going to fall our way. So what can we do? What are some of those things we can do? And that's what I hope to instill in families is, all right, we know what's maybe not working or what's not right, but what can we do? What are some actionable things we can do now?
Right.
What can we make of this to improve it for ourselves and for the kids and for the next generation, whoever that is? So what have we found that actually helps us get to that point? Like, what can we do right now? What are you seeing out there that's helpful?
And even specifically, how have you as a family come together? Because it could be that you didn't talk to your daughters now, or they didn't talk to you, you know, but you guys have decided to come together after losing a brother and a son and whatnot. How have you guys applied that in your life?
Well, I think the biggest thing was starting this foundation, the Sobriety Foundation. I think that has really helped us out a lot, because my husband has been a real big part of it. He was our MC at our gala for a couple of years in a row, and then my daughters were both on our board that early on, so that really helped him out. They're constantly, you know, telling people about our foundation, getting people to donate when we have our big gala for door prizes, and so that's really helped them. And also, my daughter has gone around to the Red Ribbon Week, and she has told my son's story. And you know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, she had this beautiful, healthy, amazing boy up there in his football uniform and just doing fabulous. And then she showed him pictures when he started using and what he looked like. And it's been real poignant. It's been real. I've been really proud of her. It's been really hard to go and see her do these presentations and have to live through it again, because you know, in the end he ended up in a wheelchair. So and it's hard to go back through all those parts of my life again. Feel like in a way I have some PSTD because of all the things that I had to see him go
You
through.
bet.
So yeah, that's a lot of things that, a lot of, and therapy. I can't express enough how opening the lines of communication, talking about it, being less judgmental, and I am really excited of the tools that we have learned, and my daughters have implemented in their families, so that they won't make the same mistakes, hopefully, with their kids.
I want to just see you real quick on one thing here.
Okay?
You didn't wait for some politician to pass some legislation and create funding for sober livings everywhere.
Oh, no.
You just went and did it.
We did. In fact, to this day, we have not had any monies that has been federally or state. We haven't had one grant. We're in the process of working really hard to get grants now, especially through this pandemic. It's been hard to fundraise. Every one of our donations have come in through corporate or individual donors. So that's huge. People have an amazing hearts in Utah, and our friends that have been acquainted with my son Carson, they know how hard he struggled and how hard he tried to get clean many times. And so they have sent in huge donations. And we have not, like I said, no, we have had not one grant come from us.
Well, I just want to honor that, because in this day and age, there's a lot of waiting around.
Yes.
When is it going to change? Who's going to do that? You are a doer. You and your
Yes.
family, you do it. You're being the change in the world you want to see. And I honor that in you, and I'm so proud of you for that.
Thank you, Jared. But I can't take all the credit. I have had so much support from my family and from my husband's family. My family have been there from the beginning, and we have a really close family, and they have been all of my volunteers at every gala we've ever had. Every time we have any door prizes, or they're the first ones there to donate. And along with my friends, they just come out of the woodwork. So I haven't been able to do it alone. I've had a ton of help from everybody. I've initiated it, but that's about all I've done. I'm so grateful for the response that I got from family and friends.
Wonderful.
And I want to just amen with Jared. I see how gracious you are as well, and I want to also add to Jared that the strength of character that you develop. So if you go back to the family, my family has a line of alcoholics, right? So we're finding out that it's nature via nurture. So the genes, the way they express is what's going on in the environment. So as parents, we're gonna make lots of mistakes. And so if you look back and be like, well, maybe I should have talked to him more about alcohol more directly. What was communicated clearly is, I love you and I care about you. And as you see that now playing out over the years, I love you, I care about you. We're gonna win together. Somehow, some way, this boy is gonna take us where we would never have gone or been able. Like, we didn't even think it was possible to get there.
No.
So I'm going to see you too with Jared that, yep, maybe you could talk one way, the love and the will and the character and the person you decide to be. And I know, I bet that's how you're able to interview your applicants. So if I want to apply, and you don't have to apply to the foundation to do that, but if you want to apply and demonstrate in your life that I want this now, what have you seen are things that people demonstrate?
Well, I answer the phones all the time, and I tell them if they haven't gone on and filled out an application, I tell them to do so. Kind of do a little bit of an interview process over the phone, right as they call me, even before they applied on our
So
website.
they've got to ask for what they want first.
Yeah, and I just say, that's what I say. I just say, are you ready? And I just said, we don't have a lot of funding. We pick the ones that we really feel like are ready to make a difference in their life. Are you ready to make that change? And there've never been any one of them that hasn't said no, but you can almost feel by their answers that, hey, I'm rock bottom. I have nowhere else to go. I've every resource that I've had, I've screwed up. I can't get funds from my family, my friends, my neighbors, and they've all helped me, and I can't get funds from anybody anymore. And I'm ready and willing to make the change. So, and that's the ones that we really, we loved a scholarship, and it's paid off. I mean, we have people running sober living homes. That has been in our program. We have people that are working at USARA now, who's
Wow.
been in our sober living homes. We have people that are working in all over in the addiction world because they want to give back. They were helped and they want to give back. And I think one of the biggest things, because of HIPAA and everything else, I can't go out and talk to them and everything else. I have to kind of keep my distance. But there is
So hard.
It's so
Yeah.
hard. There is an exit survey that we give to them, and the most common comment is, there were people out there that I didn't even know, that I didn't know from Adam, that cared about me and cared about my life, and they gave me money to make it better. And so from here on out, that's what I'm taking with me. I want to pay it forward. So, and a lot of them has. I've already seen a lot of them and how they paid it forward.
Jared, you've got that gift too. You come from the same perspective as Susan does of, like, we'll make it work, but I need to see. And so what do you see for somebody to demonstrate that, no, now's the time, I will do what they have their do whatever it takes moment?
Something I'll do is I'll challenge them to sacrifice. What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up to get right now? From the smallest thing, I had a guy come to me last week that we'd had in the program before, and he asked to come back. But when he was in the program before, he had a really toxic girlfriend and relationship.
Sure.
And it kept pulling him down, and whatever that was, it wasn't healthy. And I'd asked him, I was like, are you still in that relationship? And he's like, no, I can't be in that relationship. I know it doesn't work for me anymore. So one of the thoughts was, are you willing to give up that for a while and work on you? You get healthy and just focus on that. So from small to big, like, are you willing to give up something to do it? Another scenario, I had a girl who relapsed and wanted to come back. And one of the questions I had is, would you be willing to go to inpatient for 2 weeks to a month and earn your bed? And quickly, no, I can't do that. If I do that, I'll lose my job, and I won't have this, and I won't have that. I'm like, you're going to lose it anyway, because you're not sober.
Right.
So what are you willing to give to get? And that's, when you get the real genuine answer of, I'll give anything to get my recovery, and you really feel it, like, usually that's a good sign. I mean, nothing's 100%.
Right.
But when you're speaking to this person who is now shifting out of addiction mode and into recovery mode, and we can speak to that recovery person, and you can feel like they really want it. They want the recovery more than they want their pain. They want it more than they want their addiction.
The beautiful thing is that can now turn from a push to a pull. So if you're listening to this and you're connected to the recovery somehow, but you're not actively in a place where you are using or whatnot, asking that question will bring more joy and miracles when you're willing to say, what am I willing to give to get more hope? Or what am I willing to give to be more connected? What am I willing to do to become more available to that person I really care about? And that sacrifice, I haven't found where that sacrifice does not pay back way more than you thought you were sacrificing to get it.
I agree. And I tell them too, when they're on the road to recovery, you need to be selfish. You need to be working on you. You need to make yourself healthy. Don't have all these outside influences and everything else. When you feel like, especially with single moms, I feel so bad because You know, their kids, you know, they're thinking about their kids nonstop. Well, their kids are going to be so much better if they work on themselves. And then they'll have something to give their kids. Right now, they're kind of an empty shell. They need to work on getting better and getting healed. And then I just tell them, you've got to be selfish. You've got to go out there and you've got to work on you.
I have enjoyed this tremendously. I'm going to commit you right now. Will you come back?
Sure, I'd love to.
Agreed? I mean, it's...
Love to come back. And thank you for the opportunity to get our name out there, because I know that there's a lot of people that don't know where to turn to. And like I said, we have limited funds, but please, if you know, go on to sobrietyfoundation.org and fill in an application, and hopefully we can get you some sober living.
And make sure people do the exit survey.
Yes.
You guys deserve more funding. You
Yes.
need more funding. You're going to get more funding.
Yes, we are.
And some of that is dependent on research. You show that research, and the right person listening today or tomorrow or whatever, they're going to look at that research like, wow, it really does work to take someone through a full year of continuum and make them a productive citizen again for life and heal someone.
Yes.
But they need funding.
Yeah. We do.
And something we want to do today, I'm Recovery and the Winning Together podcast, we want to donate one scholarship
Oh,
to your
awesome.
foundation.
Oh, thank you so much,
It's
Jared.
pure gratitude for what you've done for us.
Thank you so very much. That's amazing. Appreciate it. We really do.
And you know, it's, those of you listening, it's not about the money. It's about giving what you can, doing what, meeting yourself where you're at. You're connected. You can give. If you can call and ask. Because that at some point, you're going to be in a position where you're going to be able to give, and somebody else is going to be able to receive. So I love that, Jared, and I love that, Susan. I have one more question for you to wrap up.
Okay.
Time matters. Time through grief, time to recover, time away from a bad environment. What's the difference you've seen? Because I've seen sometimes people come through and they show up to groups and they're in the house, but they're like waiting for to change. So I've noticed that it's not always about total time. It's also about the time you put in on task. What have you seen?
I just really feel, and I tell them all the time, we go around and visit our sober living homes along the Wasatch Front. We're constantly to them. We come and visited IM, and they've given us a tour, and we go around to everyone. But I keep telling them to live in the now, to live in the moment, to see what they can do. Don't think about your past, of course. You cannot think about your past, where you were. And you really can't think about your future. Think about the now. Think about what you can do right now to make yourself better, to become the person that you really want to become.
So there's just one thing I want to contribute to that. You know, living in the now is start small. The smaller, the better, so that you can affect that change. I just want to bring together the Winning Together podcast. There is no better example than this discussion. And as you listen, hopefully you're going for a walk, or hopefully you're able to like absorb. There's some themes that are consistent through here. The Sobriety Foundation, you've got resources. You can call I Am Recovery at 801-407-9998 or imrtc.com. And don't ever do your life alone, or any aspect that matters to you alone. There are people there that want to be and work and win with you. And that's what we're about too. So let's win together. Thank you, Jared the counselor, Susan the rock star. This is Shay the coach, wrapping up. Thanks, everyone.